haven't started before I got here. So the first thing we'll do is roll call.
Okay, when I call your jurisdiction, if you'll please state your name. San Mateo County. San Mateo County. And actually, before I begin that, David, should we swear in Director Mueller?
Sure, absolutely. I have not received the email yet, but I do have a copy of the oath, and I think Supervisor has taken it about 4 times probably in the last month. So if he's willing to give it a shot, I think we could probably do it. I also could share my screen, I suppose, if that makes things easier.
I'm willing to give it a shot, but I think you better. I do not have it memorized. I have said it quite a bit lately, but I'm gonna need it. Gonna need it said to me. I apologize. I think I actually have. I have an email, right? I got it. I can do it.
Oh, great.
So,
And I'm gonna break it up anyway, so it's gonna go. It's gonna go well. I guarantee it.
okay, I got it.
So if you don't mind raising your right hand and repeating after me. However, after I say I, if you would please say I and then state your name.
Okay.
I
Ray Mueller,
do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will support and defend
that I will support and defend
the Constitution of the United States
the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of California
and the Constitution of the State of California
against all enemies,
against all enemies,
foreign and domestic,
foreign and domestic,
that I will bear true faith
that I will bear true faith
and allegiance to the Constitution
and allegiance to the Constitution
of the United States
of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of California,
and the Constitution of the State of California,
that I take this obligation freely
that I take this obligation freely
without any mental reservation
without any mental reservation
or purpose of evasion,
or purpose of evasion,
and that I will well
and that I will well
and faithfully discharge
and faithfully discharge
the duties upon which I'm about to enter.
the duties upon which I am about to enter.
Congratulations.
Congratulations.
Honored to join you all. Thank you.
very much. With that, if I'll start the roll call again, when I state your jurisdiction, if you'll please state your name. San Mateo County.
Ray Mueller,
Thank you. San Mateo County. Atherton,
Rick DeGolia,
Belmont,
Julia Mates,
Brisbane,
Colleen Mackin,
Burlingame,
Donna Colson,
Colma, Daly City, East Palo Alto,
Carlos Romero,
Foster City, Half Moon Bay,
Harvey Rarback,
Hillsborough,
Leslie Ragsdale,
Los Banos, Menlo Park, Millbrae,
Andrews Fung,
Pacifica,
Tiger Jazz Rose Big Stick.
Portola Valley,
Jeff Elfs,
Redwood City,
Elmer Martinez,
San Bruno,
Marty Medina,
San Carlos, San Mateo,
Emerald Lee,
South San Francisco,
James Coleman,
Woodside, Director Emeritus,
Pradeep Gupta,
and Director Emeritus.
John Keener.
Thank you, and we have a quorum.
Okay, thank you, Nellie. And the next item on the agenda is public comment. If anyone has a public comment, now would be a good time to share your comment. Diane Bailey.
Yes, good evening, Chair DeGolia, directors, and everyone. Thanks so much for the opportunity to comment. My name is Diane Bailey. I'm director of Menlo Spark, a small community climate action nonprofit. And I wanted to alert you to a very important item coming up at the Air District next month. On March 15th, the Bay Area Air District will be voting on a proposed amendment to several rules that limit nitrogen oxides or NOx emissions from building appliances. And then this proposal will extend existing emission limits to a zero NOx or a zero emission standard for both space and water heating appliances. And it would apply when new appliances are both sold and installed beginning in 2027 and phasing in over 4 years. These updated rules would effectively support electric heat pumps as a zero pollution replacement to gas appliances. They would also dramatically improve our air quality since gas appliances release more NOx pollution than all of the passenger cars in our region. If these zero emission standards are adopted by the Air District, they'll also have enormous climate and health benefits. They would also support the building electrification efforts that PC has developed. We see a very beneficial partnership between Peninsula Clean Energy and the Air District. And for these reasons, I hope that each of you will consider actively supporting these important clean appliance standards to be voted on at the Air District on March 15th. There's one other item I wanted to request your attention to just briefly. Separately, with thousands of people losing power for an extended time in our county, I was wondering if PCE could spearhead some community outreach on resilience. And this could include the various incentives and support programs that PCE already has for clean backup power. I think this would be a wonderful service to the community, and thank you so much for your attention.
Unmute myself. Okay, thank you, Diane. Is there any other public comment? I don't see any. Okay, I'm going to assume there's no further public comment. The next item on the agenda is to set the agenda and approve the consent items. Is there anyone on the board that would like to pull a consent item, or anyone in the public that would want to pull a consent item or comment on one? And
Rick, I would like
Pradeep, I see
to,
your hand up. Go ahead.
yes, I'd like to mention or comment on item number 2, which is to approve additional contracting in order to provide solar panels and battery powers on public buildings. And the reason I want to pull it out is that the reason for this additional contract was the deadline of April 13, beyond which the NEM rules become a little bit less rewarding, and staff wants to complete the application process before April 13. And my question was, is staff confident that given the time that is left between now and April 13, that this additional consulting help would prove out to be fruitful?
Thank you, Pradeep. I'll ask Peter to go ahead and comment on that. Thank you, Peter.
Thank you, Jan. Thank you, Director Gupta. Yes, we are confident that we're going to be able to get the solar interconnection applications in at that time. We have existing contracts with both of the engineering firms with whom we are seeking contract amendments already. And so they've been doing the work. They've actually done all of the site visits already. And now all we need them to do is continue the solar designing process and submit the actual interconnection applications themselves. So what is predating these contract amendments is many months of work to reach out to all of the public agencies, get a long pipeline of projects in the queue or in our pipeline internally, and now we're simply submitting the interconnection applications externally. So yeah, a lot of confidence there.
Thank you very much. I think that gives me a lot of confidence. Yeah, no problem now. The other item I'd like to just pull out for comment is item number 4. Both John Keener and myself have been with you for the last 2-3 years as Director Emeritus. And according to this item, this is going to be coming to an end now. Our association has been very fruitful. For myself, I have really enjoyed myself working with the board of directors and participating in the discussions. And I hope to continue providing anything that I could provide to help out PC in the future in any other role. So I just wanted to give the board members a big thank you on myself, and I thought that John Keener would be also feeling the same way. Thank you very much. I appreciate your consideration and extending our directorship for another few years for the last few years. Thank you. That's all.
Okay, thank you, Pradeep. And just to clarify, on the Director Emeritus item, which is on the consent agenda, it's not exactly eliminating the involvement. It's creating a new group, and a Director Emeritus Advisory Group, which will be able to advise PCE, but we're entering the formal limitation of the two Director Emeritus that we have had the pleasure of working with so closely over the last few years. Donna.
Thank you, Rick. So I chaired this committee and I appreciate the help of all of my colleagues that were on this. It's Carlos, gosh, I forget who else was on it. We did it a few weeks ago. But at any rate, the reason that we set this up was that we wanted to create a more inclusive format and structure by which as we graduate more and more alumni and more people move on from elected office, but want to stay involved and have talents that the staff can certainly call upon. And an example would be Pradeep teaching a class on electrification, or some of the wonderful work that John has done around different policy issues. We also might want people to sign letters as former mayors and also help us with legislative advocacy. So, or sit on the occasional subcommittee or other committee as a former board member, which the staff will have the right and the board would have the right to do. So we think this broadens it. It allows us to be very inclusive and include more people without putting the onerous, growing the pool so large that the meetings become cumbersome, and also not putting the burden of having to attend every single meeting on past and former board members. So hopefully this will really work out well, and we'll have a large pool of people from which to draw.
Thank you very much.
I'm still unmuted. Okay, thank you, Donna. John.
And I was on that committee, and really it was Donna's proposal, and it was a very good one, and I fully support it. And I echo Pradeep's comments. I thank the board for our opportunity to serve these last 3 or 4 years, and we look forward to serving again under this new regime. Thank you.
And just pointing it out really quick, the other members were Rick Bonilla and Giselle Hale, who volunteered when their terms ended. So it was really nice to have the perspective of such a diverse group of people, and everybody unanimously supported this proposal. So I hope the board will too.
That's right.
Okay, great. If there's no other comment on any of the consent items, if I could get a motion to set the agenda and approve the consent items, that would be great.
So moved, Medina.
Thank you, Marty.
Second.
Thank you, Harvey. We could do a roll call.
San Mateo County,
Yes.
San Mateo County. Sorry, there's 2 of you. Atherton,
Yes.
Belmont,
Yes.
Brisbane,
Yes.
Burlingame,
Yes.
Colma, Daly City, East Palo Alto,
Yes.
Foster City, Half Moon Bay,
Yes.
Hillsborough,
Yes.
Los Banos, Menlo Park, Millbrae,
Yes.
Pacifica,
Yes.
Portola Valley,
Yes.
Redwood City,
Yes.
San Bruno,
Yes.
San Carlos, San Mateo,
Yes.
South San Francisco,
Yes.
and Woodside. And the motion passes. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. And the next item on the agenda is the chair report. So what I have to report this month is that I have established a CEO transition subcommittee that consists of myself, Donna Colson, Dave Pine, and Marty Medina. And our job is to implement the terms for the CEO transition that the board approved in the amendment to Jan's contract in, I don't know, September or October when we approved her contract. And basically the four of us will be meeting. We are going to work with Jan to put together a job description, which will be published on the PCE website for any person that's interested in applying for the CEO position. And we will have a board discussion on a replacement contract for Jan that will describe what Jan's going to do as she goes into her first year of retirement from PCE. And I'm hoping to have that discussion in a closed session of the board meeting next month. I'm just giving everybody a heads up. And anyone that has any thoughts or comments, I encourage you to contact myself or Donna or Marty or Dave. And we'll lead that discussion next month. And then I expect that in April, we'll have an item on our public agenda to approve that revised contract with Jan. Basically, this is all in the process of implementing what we agreed to in the fall. So just giving everyone a heads up on the status of that process, which I think is moving forward with great cooperation from everyone and looking good to me. And that's the only item that I have to report this month. So the next item on the agenda is the CEO report.
Thank you. Nice to see everyone here tonight, and welcome to the new board members who are joining us this year. So I have a lot to go through tonight. If we can go to the next slide, please. I'll be talking about some staffing updates, the results of our 24/7 media outreach, the PG&E rate change, our solar and storage on public buildings update, legislative in-person meetings starting next month for all of you, our board orientation and mentor program, ad hoc subcommittee needs, and upcoming meetings. So first, next slide, please. We have a new Director of Power Resources who will be starting on March 13th. Roy Hsu will be joining us at that time. He comes to us from City of Riverside Public Utilities. And I'm not sure if he's here tonight. I let him know about the meeting, but we will formally introduce him to you next month at our board meeting. So this has been a long recruitment, and we're very excited to have Roy join us. He brings great background, a lot of many years in power resources, in negotiating PPAs, and all of the other things that we do. So he'll be a great addition to our team. Next slide, please. And we are still hiring. We are currently looking for a human resources manager, an administrative assistant, although I think we might be pretty close on that hire. A director of marketing and community relations. We are interviewing the finalists for that position at this time. And then we're also looking for a number of power resources analysts or specialists. We're actually looking to bring on 3 people to our power resources team to build out our depth and to be able to train some new people on the work that we're doing, and because we're doing a lot of things. So if you know anyone who is a good candidate for any of these positions, please have them go to our website and turn in their application ASAP, because we are rapidly working to fill these open positions. Next slide, please. So as you know, we published our 24/7 white paper on January 10th, and this one reported on the results of our modeling of 24/7 renewables by 2025. You all as a board approved our goal of being 100% renewable on a 99% time coincident basis a couple months ago. And so we've been doing a lot of outreach, and I just wanted to report back to you on what has happened. Next slide, please. So we have published this on our website. Since it was published, it's been viewed more than 700 times, which is really great. We're getting a lot of interest in what we're doing. Next slide, please. And we issued the press release on January 10th, announcing that we had the match model and that the model is available through open access at on GitHub. And we have a couple of quotes from some of our outside advisors, Jesse Jenkins at Princeton, who's doing a lot of work in this area, and Mark Dyson. And we have a bunch of other luminaries in the field who are part of our external advisory team. Next slide, please. And since the press release and extensive outreach, we've had a lot of coverage from influential journalists and outlets, 7 articles. I've been featured on 2 podcasts. I'm actually doing another podcast, I believe, this week or next week. Oh, it says that in March. And we've had great publicity on this. The San Mateo Daily Journal did an article on it as well. So it's great. And there's been a lot of interest from other CCAs and other people elsewhere. Let's go to the next slide. There's also been interest in Europe. So I participated in a webinar hosted by the European Power Sector Association called Euroelectric. We've had requests to discuss the model from the National Energy Renewable Laboratory. We'll be talking later this week or next week to Canada's Office of Environment and Climate Change. I participated in a webinar that was put on by the California Energy Storage Alliance. Earlier this week, I think on Tuesday, Sarah Meddy and I did a webinar for the Cal CCA group, and there were 60 people that attended that webinar. And I will be also speaking about this at the Civic Well Policymakers Conference, which I hope some of you will be attending, and the California Clean Energy Procurement Summit in San Francisco in May. So it's been really great, and we continue to get speaking requests and more questions about what we're doing. Next slide, please. And then lastly, we've been posting this on social media. And so there's been a lot of people on social media that have seen this, 30,000 impressions. So the word is getting out there about what we're doing, and really excited about that. And I'm excited about being able to continue that external involvement once I retire and continue to evangelize what we're doing here at Peninsula Clean Energy. But that we'll talk about in a month or two. Any questions on this before I go on? Okay, next slide, please. So a bunch of other things are happening. So PG&E is going to have a March rate increase that will impact both its transmission and distribution and generation rates. And most of the increase, which is 1.1 cents per kilowatt hour, will be on the T&D side. 9 cents of that, or 0.9 cents of that, will be on the T&D side. On the generation side, it will be 0.2 cents or $0.002. We have made the decision as staff not to change our rates again. We just changed them in January, and rates have gone up for everyone just because PG&E's rates went up significantly in January. And so we will not be asking you to approve another rate increase for our customers. And by not increasing our rates by this 0.2 cents, it will affect our net position by about 2.2 million this fiscal year. But we're in pretty good shape, and we think it's important to not raise rates further. As we know, customers are experiencing extremely high energy bills right now. Most of that is due to the higher methane gas prices that are powering those gas-fired furnaces and water heaters. And it's been cold, and it's going to continue to be cold, especially this weekend. So we want to demonstrate our commitment to lower rates and lower energy costs for everyone. And so we'll forego this relatively small increase on the generation side. So our customers will be receiving slightly more than 5% discount compared to PG&E because we're not going to do this. Okay, solar and storage on public buildings. We talked about this a little bit earlier. First, the first cohort, which you all approved last month, you approved the contract with Intermountain Energy. That contract has been signed and they are starting to work. And 10 PPAs with 8 jurisdictions have signed their PPAs. So we're off and running with that first group of solar plus storage projects on public buildings. We are now finalizing the group that's in the second cohort, and you approved the funds earlier tonight to have our technical consultants continue that work. And for the second cohort, it looks like we have at this time 107 sites with 22 public agencies that we're studying for this second cohort. So that's fantastic. We're very excited to be helping all of those agencies get solar on their roofs and storage for a few of them. On the legislative side, this information comes from Mark. So the deadline for the introduction of bills was last Friday, February 17th. And by that date, the record number of bills had been filed, the largest in over a decade. There are 1,751 assembly bills, 881 Senate bills. About 40% of those are just placeholders, so they'll be fleshing those out more in the future. We're looking through all of those bills to determine which ones we need to take a close watch on, and we'll be doing that internally at PCE and also with CalCCA. The first hearings on the new session on energy issues are taking place this month. Yesterday, the Assembly Committee on Utilities and Energy held an informational hearing on energy affordability. Next Tuesday, the Senate Committee on Energy, Utilities, and Communications will hear from the California Public Utilities Commission and the Public Advocate's Office for their annual update to the legislature. And again, this year, the focus will be on utility bill affordability. And then hearings on new legislation will start in March. So the emergency order for continuing these types of meetings will expire on Tuesday. And so all of you who are members of these Brown Act bodies will need to be appearing in person, and we'll be talking about this later tonight. Nellie will update what we're planning to do for our in-person meetings. We'd like to suggest that you bring your laptop or iPad to those meetings, and if not, please let us know ahead of time if you would like hard copy printouts for us to have for you at those meetings. Next slide, please. We have a number of new board members and alternates who have joined us this year, and we are planning board orientation for all of you, but everyone is welcome, even existing board members. It's always good to get an update on what's going on. So we will be putting updated board training videos on our website in early March, and then we will have an in-person meeting in mid to late March in our lobby for in-person discussion. That'll be approximately a 3-hour orientation. And at that orientation, we will provide history and overview of our strategic goals and our core functions, training on how the California energy market works. And then the different department directors will have a discussion panel and answer your questions. And then we'll also talk about board member logistics. So we hope that many of you will come for that. Next slide, please. We are also looking at instituting a board mentor program. And this is a proposal from Vice Chair Colson to partner with new board members during their first year of service. We have a number of board members who have served for a number of years and are actively engaged. And this board mentor program will provide subject matter support and help with how to navigate our agency. And we're looking for 4 to 7 seasoned board members to match up with our new board members. So if you're interested, please let Vice Chair Donna Colson from Burlingame know that you would like to participate as a board mentor. Next slide, please. So we also have a number of ad hoc subcommittees where we ask board members to participate and work with us as staff as we're looking at new things that we're putting forth. And so we're looking for board members and alternate board members to serve on our ad hoc marketing subcommittee and also on our ad hoc procurement subcommittee. So these groups meet sporadically as needed. And but it's a great way to learn more about what we're doing and to really get engaged in those areas. And if you have particular expertise or interest in those areas, please let us know. And then last but not least, our next meetings. Next slide, please. The Citizens Advisory Committee will be March 9th at 6:30 in person and Zoom. And when we say in person, that means back at our offices at 2075 Woodside Road in Redwood City. The Executive Committee will be meeting on March 13th, Board of Directors March 23rd. Audit and Finance Committee is scheduled to be meeting again, not until May. So we look forward to having you back at our offices. We do have EV chargers there for those of you driving your EVs. So let us know if there are some that are general for the building, and there are some that are specific for PCE. We have 4 chargers just for PCE. And let us know if you would like to use one of those, and we will get you signed up so that the charger will work when you put your tap your card there. So anyway, that's all I have. I know it was a long report, and happy to answer any questions that people might have.
Jan, just to clarify, if board members want to join the marketing or the procurement subcommittee, should they send you an email to let you know?
They can send me an email or Nellie. Yes, please.
Okay. Any questions from anyone on the board? Donna.
Thank you, Rick. So just 2 quick comments. One is past, if any past board members, and in particular, I'm thinking John and Pradeep, would be interested in mentoring a new board member, I think that'd be a wonderful way to stay involved. So I hope you know that you don't have to be a current board member. That's a perfect example of how we could use our alumni. If you're in agreement, Chair DeGolia. And secondly, Jan, I'm wondering if now that we're moving back into meetings in person, are we going to check in to make sure what kind of attendance we're going to have, so that if we don't have a quorum, we can make sure to let people know? Or, we had that problem before, and I'm a little worried we're going to start having it again. So how will we handle that?
Later on in this meeting, Nellie is going to be talking about the hybrid meetings and how that's going to be set up. So I don't know, Nellie, do you want to respond to that now, or do you want to wait until we get to that agenda item?
I think we can wait till we get to that agenda item.
Okay, but you bring up a good point, Donna. We have had great attendance when it's been so easy for all of us to attend, but staff may or may not be there in person, but you as the board members will need to be. And we are, just so you know, and Mark, I don't think Mark's here tonight, but we are working with some members of the legislature about passing some legislation that would allow multi-jurisdictional agencies like this, where people are very spread out, to be able to continue with these Zoom meetings. So I don't know where that's going to end up, and we're trying to help move that along because it is difficult to get everyone in one place.
Yeah. Okay. I don't see any other board member comments. Is there any public comment on this? Okay, I don't see any public comment, so let's move on. The next item on the agenda is a report from the nominating committee for the selection of the board chair and board vice chair for the next year.
Yes, thank you. I will go ahead and speak for the nominating committee. We received 2 applicants or requests to be considered. And we have gone ahead. The nominating committee recommends Rick DeGolia to serve as the chair and Donna Colson to continue to serve as vice chair. So thank you both for being willing to step up and serve again. Those are our recommendations.
Okay, great. Okay, so I missed an item on the agenda, but we'll come back to that after.
Oh, I'm sorry.
That's
Is
okay.
it
My
not my
error,
turn?
not your
Oh.
error. No,
Oh.
let's go forward with this, Julia. You've given your report. I think that we should do a roll call on that recommendation so that we approve the chair and vice chair for the next year. And then Cheryl, I'm sorry to miss you. We'll come back to the CAC report. My error.
So I assume that we should treat Julia's comment as a motion to approve the slate of you as chair and Donna as vice chair, and then maybe we'll just take a second and then we can do the roll call.
Great.
Second, Medina.
Okay, so we have a motion and a second. If we could do a roll call, that would be great.
San Mateo County. San Mateo County.
Yes.
Thank you. Atherton,
Yes.
Belmont,
Yes.
Brisbane,
Yes.
Burlingame,
Yes.
Colma, Daly City, East Palo Alto, East Palo Alto.
Yes.
Thank you. Foster City, Half Moon Bay,
Yes.
Hillsborough,
Yes.
Los Banos, Menlo Park, Millbrae,
Aye.
Pacifica,
Yes.
Portola Valley,
Yes.
Redwood City,
Yes.
San Bruno,
Yes.
San Carlos, San Mateo.
Yes.
Thank you. South San Francisco
Yes.
and Woodside. The motion passes. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Sorry for the error. I missed the Citizens Advisory Committee report. We'll go to that now.
Thank you. Good evening, Chair DeGolia and members of the board. The CAC met Thursday, February 9th, and listened carefully to self-introductions by our new board liaisons, Christine Bowles, Colleen Mackin, and Harvey Rarbeck. We deeply appreciate their ideas and guidance as we move forward. I shared that Brian Tran of South San Francisco resigned from the CAC, and we were sorry to see him go. We spent most of the meeting talking about PCE's building electrification strategy. Alejandra Posada, Associate Programs Manager, gave us an overview of the program customer challenges, and a plan to expand support for home electrification. She also shared results of the home upgrade program and its next iteration. CAC members asked questions. How does financing support fit into the strategy's priorities? And what portion of upgrade cost has been covered by rebates and 0% loans? They reiterated that more financing support simplifies the process for residents. Members made several suggestions to recruit a diverse contractor network and offer services in multiple languages, to ensure that the planned RHA contract extension addresses challenges customers faced in the first round. For example, removing old appliances right when new ones are installed and not before. They suggested to prioritize replacement of gas stoves and educate residents about harmful effects of gas cooking, and suggested that you scale the program to include more homes. The CAC enthusiastically supported the plan and was really eager to make a formal recommendation to the board, which we will do in our March meeting. Jason Mendelson, Vice Chair, identified common concerns from the recent CAC feedback survey, including an interest in better aligning committee activities with its stated mission. That was summarized in, and I know we had feedback survey discussion as part of this, so I'll just give you briefly some general comments that came back from more than one person in the survey. Overall, the CAC was really happy with the interaction with the staff and the support of the staff. The numbers actually on the survey were better than they've been, Kirsten tells us, since she's been around longer than I have. But they did all feel like there hadn't been enough organized outreach, possibly due to COVID. There wasn't any legislative support at all that we were involved in. We weren't necessarily invited to advise on new programs being discussed or thought about by PCE. And we wondered if we'd been able to accomplish more if the goals had been more appropriate for our group. The group said they'd really like for the board to give us more input, and we'd like to have more visibility to the board so that we can better serve the organization. And now we're really excited that we have 3 board liaisons this coming year. And a working group from the CAC has actually asked California aggregators to share input on best practices of their community advisory groups and their staff liaisons. We're just now totaling those responses. They weren't supposed to come in until February 17th. So we've been talking a lot about this as a group, and with our new board liaisons, we're excited to get some more guidance and move forward. Jason reminded working groups that their reports are due in April. Kirsten Andrew Schwinn, Senior Manager of Community Relations, reviewed newly developed talking points for us to remember when we're interacting with all of our networks. She reminded us that we actually are doing outreach, but it's individually within each of our networks. Members were really grateful for those talking points and looking forward to using them. Kirsten also asked us to get ready to help with weekend outreach in April, when Earth Day occurs, of course, and in May. So this completes my report. Are there any questions that I could answer about the report in general or about the results of the survey?
Any questions or comments from members of the board?
I see one.
Leslie.
Hi, yes. I was just wondering if we know someone who might be interested in joining the committee, the Citizens Advisory Committee. How would, is there room, and how would they express their interest?
Kirsten could answer this as well. There is, and it actually says on the website that you need to get your application in by March 31st, I believe. We did just lose a member, and I think there may even be members that are terming out soon as well. So yes.
Great, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
So just to underscore that as an announcement to the other board members, if any of you know someone in your community who represents an organization and otherwise is involved in an activity that would be in the wheelhouse of Peninsula Clean Energy, there are going to be openings on the Peninsula Clean Energy Advisory Committee, and per Cheryl's comment, there's a application on the website, and we encourage you to share that with your communities. Colleen.
Thank you. I was just going to say, first of all, I wanted to thank the CAC. We had a very nice warm welcome as new liaisons. I think this survey is really valuable. I commend staff for the high ratings they got from the committee. If we could have perhaps some advertising materials to try to recruit more committee members. I've spoken to people who are in academia and they have ideas, but they keep asking me for marketing materials that they can send to lists of students and people they know in the related interested fields. So if we can come up with something that people could email around to different contexts, that would be helpful. Thank you.
It's a good idea, Director Mack, and I'm sure we can do that.
Thanks, Kirsten. Any other comments or questions from members of the board? Okay, I don't see any other. Let me see if there's any public comment. Is there any public comment on the Citizens Advisory Committee report? Okay, I don't see any. Thank you, Cheryl.
Sure.
We will move on to the next item on the agenda, which is consideration of approval of a contract amendment with Richard Heath and Associates contract.
Chair DeGolia.
Yes.
We
Sorry, Nellie, I'm jumping. I don't have the printed agenda in front of me, so I'm missing things. So you're right. You're up next. The next item is an update on hybrid meetings, which is Nellie's going to provide. Thank you.
That's me. Thank you so much. Thank you, board, for hearing this item tonight. So as you know, starting March 1st, 2023, next week, in-person attendance of our Brown Act meeting groups will begin being required. And so some things that we wanted to kind of note was an increased participation from our public by using these virtual meeting styles. And since we went remote in March 2020, we have an addition of a new community in Los Banos. And so to be as accessible as possible for that community as well, hybrid meetings seem like a necessity so that we can connect with that Los Banos community. We note the size of the lobby that we had at 2075 Woodside Road. I know previously when meetings were in person, it was a tight fit in that lobby space. So we have a workaround for that. And then also, I looked into other places that could hold a 23-member board, and there was limited availability of these spaces that already had hybrid connectivity. So with some creative thinking, we have the following solution. Sorry about that. So we will plan to convene at 2075 Woodside Road, our main offices. And the board and CAC will split between 3 conference rooms that will be open to the public and are all at the same address. So we have our main lobby area where we're imagining fitting about 13 board members or CAC members. Then we have 2 other conference rooms that can fit 6 between the 2. So plenty of room in there. The Audit and Finance Committee and Executive Committees would meet in the main lobby. There's enough room in there for those committees to meet in the one area. With the note from the question that we had earlier, I will be reaching out 2 days before each meeting to confirm the attendance of the board member or alternate. So please communicate if you're unable to attend or if you and your alternate will be unable to attend, and that will help us keep better tabs on quorums. The meeting rooms that I've mentioned, the 3 conference rooms, will be using OWL meeting cameras. And so these cameras capture 360 view of the room, and they also pivot to focus on whoever is speaking. So it should provide a great interface, and we've done testing within staff that the 3 rooms can join together and connect to Zoom and join the public or staff or others who are joining from wherever they may be. Within Peninsula Clean Energy offices right now, masks are required. We've also added air purifiers to each of the conference rooms. We will not be providing food and drink at this time as an encouragement for everybody to keep their masks on. This solution allows the public to attend in person or virtually. So we open up the possibility of everybody being able to join these meetings, not just those who are free and are able to commute to our Redwood City offices. For Los Banos, we have a meeting room set aside at Los Banos City Hall. And so community members there have the option to join in person at City Hall or virtually as well. And then staff can participate in person or virtually to kind of limit the occupancy within the building. And so that is our plan beginning March 1st. So our first meeting that will follow this hybrid plan is the CAC meeting on March 9th, followed by the executive committee on the 13th. And then when we all meet again in March, it will be in the Woodside lobby. Are there any questions?
Donna.
Thank you. So I can appreciate that, you know, this notion that everybody has to come masked, but I also can tell you that it's very hard to hear people. It's very muffled when things are getting broadcast out. There's a lot of issues, and I think most of us, you know, I can understand that we maybe need to sit a few feet apart. So I guess I'm just curious because none of the other meetings that I'm attending for any other group are requiring masks in the meetings. Certainly they would be optional, and if somebody felt compelled to wear one, or somebody came in with a little bit of sniffles and wanted to wear one, I would understand, but I don't really understand why they're mandatory, why this is the only organization that's mandating them.
So right now our policies have masks for all staff when we enter the office. And so we could look at reconvening our, I'm sorry, the name of the committee that we had that implemented these, our internal staff committee. We could look at having them reconvene and see if this is a policy change. But at the moment, that is the policies that we have in place with staff.
So I guess that doesn't answer my question, which is why. I mean, this, like, my city doesn't have a mask mandate. I don't know if other cities do. Maybe we're the only one who isn't having a mask mandate anymore. But I'm just curious. It doesn't really answer the question of why. Why are we different than everybody else, every other organization?
I think we are just looking to be as extra cautious as possible and ensure that our staff and public and board members are as safe as possible. So I know that we have some members of staff who appreciate and feel more secure with having everybody masked. And so we're just trying to accommodate and have everyone feel as comfortable as possible.
Harvey.
If I remember our last in-person meetings, it seemed to me that the lobby actually does have enough room to have the board and members of the public attend. And this idea of splitting up into 3 conference rooms doesn't make a lot of sense to me. We really could, I believe, meet together in one place. So it's definitely something to consider.
Definitely. Yes. So as somebody who was hired during the pandemic and didn't witness for myself, the feedback that I have gotten is that it was very cozy in the room. However, that is up to the board's comfort level when they are meeting. Currently, we have the tables spaced apart so that everybody has, you know, their own personal space. But if the board would rather or feels more comfortable having more people within the one room, that is great. But we also have the availability for, if there are board members who would feel more comfortable in a bit of a separate space, that there are options for them as well.
Yeah, and I want to encourage other board members to speak up if you have opinions about this. This obviously directly affects all of us, and we're in the process of setting policy, and we will certainly discuss this at the executive committee in March. But I encourage anyone with an opinion to speak up. Ray.
Thank you. So I am interested in the idea. So if we're going to be splitting up into rooms anyway, is there any interest in actually then splitting the meeting into 3 different locations? And so one for the coast, one for North County, and one for South County. Because if we're going to have to split and all go into a hybrid that people look at on a screen anyway, should we try to make it more convenient for members of the public to visit, to come to those locations, and obviously for members of the committee to also attend?
Yeah.
I just throw that out there for consideration.
Yeah, I'm going to ask David Silberman if he has an opinion. My recollection when we discussed this was splitting up in 3 meetings at the same address was different than having 3 meetings in 3 different addresses, but I think that was a legal issue.
Yeah, I know that that's what we're doing at the Air Board. Is at the Air Board, there will be 2 different locations for the convening the meetings. The same meeting.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, I think that there are so many discussions, Rick. It's hard to break them all down. I mean, what we're doing here is we are basically doing a teleconference meeting. We have to do that because we've got another location in Los Banos already. So if the question is, could we legally break up into different locations? Yes, we could. All of those locations need to be noticed and available to the public. I think the concern about, and this is operational, not legal, but I think the concern about setting up locations throughout the county was the staff support necessary to staff those various locations. Anyway, I could talk for more, but I won't unless I'm asked.
Great. Okay, thank you, David. Any other opinions or comments? Okay, well, I think that we should continue to look at this. We can talk about it at the executive committee. I'm sure staff has evaluated the issue of the multiple locations and what we could do, and we can review that together at the executive committee.
And I'd also just observe that this is not a done deal in the sense that if what happens in March isn't working, we can always change it. We could change it every meeting. I wouldn't suggest that. But this is not a one and done situation. I think we're all learning how to deal with our new normal. And this, I think, was just sort of the first attempt.
Great. Okay. Thanks, David. Donna, did you have your hand up?
I'm just wondering then, if we're going to have 3 separate locations and there's people with varying degrees of comfort and staff can zoom in, if there are a group of people who really prefer to be masked, then they could take one room. And if there's others who are okay because they're vaccinated and they've, everybody is healthy. Obviously, if you're not healthy, you're coughing or something, you shouldn't come, period, anyway, which is part of the problem with this new law. But if you feel comfortable, I'm just personally, it's very hard for me to communicate in a mask. I have a lot of visual context. I like to see people. I'm comfortable in a room because I'm meeting with all my other meetings in that way. Could we divide the rooms up that way? So people who want to be masked can be masked. If there's another room where people are okay, 6 feet apart, just something to consider.
Yeah, I think that's good. But just to clarify, if somebody's sick, that's a valid excuse not to come. You can validly be online in attending the meeting, and that's that's an actual attendance. So that's not a problem. Tiger Jess.
Thank you, Chair. I actually have kept my video off, unlike my normal practice. specifically because I'm coming off of a cold right now, and rather than subject you all to the visuals of me hacking and coughing here in the background, I wanted to try to be sensitive to everybody. That being said, I agree largely with what Donna's saying, and that, you know, if nothing else, having a mask in between one's face and what one's trying to communicate, it makes it a lot more difficult. I remember trying to navigate that with 5 people and staff at a council meeting. I can't quite imagine what that will be like when it's 20 some odd people and staff and community and et cetera. So the point is well taken by Donna, and it would be great to navigate that so that all parties can have adept communication. Thank you.
Great. Okay, thank you, Tiger Jess. Let me just see if there's any public comment on this item. I don't see anyone's hand up, so I don't see any public comment. So we will now move on to the item I previously announced, which is consideration of the contract amendment for the Richard Heath and Associates contract.
And we have Alejandra Posada and Blake Hirschschaff to make the presentation. I think Alejandra, you're going to start.
I'll lead the presentation, but Blake is here to answer questions. Yes.
Okay, great. Thank you, Alejandra.
Yeah. Hi, good evening, everyone. My name is Alejandra Posada. I'm an associate program manager in the programs team, and I've been with Peninsula Clean Energy for about five and a half years. So I've worked on a lot of residential programs here over the years, and going to be talking specifically about the home upgrade program tonight. So I will share my screen. All right. First I will cover just a summary of what the request is before getting into the details, and also cover some background and context about the program and how it fits into our 2035 decarbonization plan. Then I'll cover some information about the home upgrade program, the outcomes that have come out of it in the past year and a half that it's been running. And then we'll also dive into the next steps for the program, including the proposed contract amendment here. So to summarize the request, so this is for the home upgrade program. The home upgrade program, as a really brief overview, is our direct install program for income qualified residents. So what we provide is minor home repairs and 1 electrification measure per home. And the program's been running since late 2021. So the request is to delegate the authority to the CEO to execute a contract amendment with our current program implementer, Richard Heath and Associates, or RHA for short, to continue implementing the program just for a year to serve as a bridge to the next phase of building electrification programs, which we will dive into more in the March board meeting. We intend to bring more details about this then, but this is really meant to be sort of an interim step to be able to continue this program as it is now. So just as a visual of what we're talking about, so this is just the program's portfolio, especially, just helps kind of like narrow down where this fits in. The programs team is responsible for overseeing building electrification programs, transportation electrification programs, and also distributed energy resources programs like solar and storage programs. Specifically here, the home upgrade program fits into our existing building electrification programs, but it's focused on income qualified homes. So lower income residents that are homeowners, and yeah, that's who we currently serve through this program. So a little bit of context on the 2035 plan. So per the board's direction in 2021, the board directed staff to do a comprehensive assessment of how we can maximize our decarbonization plans by 2035. So program staff spent a good portion of 2022 doing a detailed assessment on everything for like market segmentations, cost, and just where the market is at in both transportation and buildings, and where Peninsula Clean Energy is best suited to, provide impact and decarbonization in our service territory. And out of that also came broad concepts about the things that are necessary to drive decarbonization. These findings, including the assessment and the high-level concepts, were presented at the September 2022 board meeting. So this slide comes right out of that. These are just the high-level concepts that we identified specifically for building electrification programs, which is where the home upgrade program would fit in. So flexible incentives, high-touch support, and links to finance. So we currently do have a number of building electrification programs, including rebates that are available to all residents for water heaters, in HVAC upgrades, also a 0% loan program. And then the home upgrade program is the one that provides electrification and minor home repairs for free to income qualified residents. So we just want to build on that, continue to provide incentives, flexible incentives. One thing that's really important, and that's sort of largely missing for the general broader population in the communities that we serve, is providing higher touch support. So this includes things like a one-stop shop website, a hotline where folks can come in and call with questions, and they can actually get like technical assistance, somebody that can help them with designing their project. And it could also include a turnkey installation. So actually having our own contractor network, and just being a place where customers can call and say like, I need this, like, can you help me with this upgrade? Also fits into like emergency replacements, like for water heaters and stuff like that. So these are just the broader concepts. Like Cheryl mentioned earlier, I presented on more detailed concepts building off of this in the February CAC meeting. And we do intend to talk more about the 2035 plans for building electrification, specifically the next few years. So what we're calling, I guess, like building electrification programs V2, so version 2, building off of what we have. We intend to bring more details on this to the executive committee meeting and the board meeting in March. So for now, this is just an interim step on specifically the home upgrade program, so we can continue serving customers and the wait list that we have right now. So getting into the home upgrade program, more details of where that's at, and also a little bit more background on it. So we launched this program. Well, first of all, we did a competitive assessment solicitation process. That's how we selected RHA as our program implementer. This happened in like mid-2021. The program officially launched in October 2021. And it's, started doing installations in early, like December 2021, but really early January 2022. The contract with RHA was for $2 million and set to end in November 2023. But as I'll talk about later, the budget is currently oversubscribed. The goal for the program was to serve up to 200 homes with minor home repairs and one electrification measure per home. And then this program specifically plays a really large role into our DEAI focus, including being a large contributor to our goal of at least 20% of the program's specifically expenditure on low-income communities. The objectives for the program that were set forth was to provide tangible benefits to low-income customers while driving greenhouse gas emissions reductions and net energy savings, and also leverage other incentives available in the area to be able to reduce Peninsula Clean Energy's net costs in these projects, and develop guidelines and learnings for home electrification. And yeah, we've been doing this. Low-income customers, how the program defines it, is customers that are 80% of, like, that have an income of 80% or the average medium income, AMI, average medium income or less. So these are the results and metrics to date. These numbers are actually as of the end of January, so not like as of today. But so far we have completed 115 homes. And we do have 62 currently in progress. So that means that installations are either happening right now or soon to be scheduled, like maybe, permits are being pulled, all of those things. But customers that have been fully enrolled and will be served. And we expect to serve between 180 and 190 homes at an average expenditure of $7,000 per home. We are finalizing enrollments of a few more customers, but we have more interest in the program than what the current budget can support, which is why we're currently oversubscribed, and we are seeking to continue the program while we further develop our building electrification V2 plans. And then on the right-hand side here, we have some metrics on specifically the electrification upgrades that we've provided through this program. So really the top three are the main things that we're doing through this program. So heat pump water heaters, electric dryers, and induction stoves. We have done a few HVAC upgrades, but due to the costs and the budget constraints for the program and trying to stick with a particular average cost per home, we haven't really offered HVAC upgrades. The few that we have done have been I guess, special and exceptions that we have made for customers, largely customers that were in really high need and that didn't have heat in their home, so that we, gave exceptions to be able to serve them. But largely what's offered to customers is a water heater, dryer, or stove. And due to the fact that we're not able to do like permanent HVAC upgrades in most homes, we do have more affordable solutions that we provide to customers so that they can still have heating and cooling in their homes. So that's the portable heat pumps and then the window mounted heat pumps. So we provided a good number of those as well. Another thing through the program, again, due to the budget constraints, like we have only done a few panel upgrades. There's been a few homes that to be able to do some of these upgrades have required a panel upgrade. But if there's a home that has significant remediation cost in order to be able to install an electrification upgrade, sometimes they're not able to be served by the program due to budget constraints. So that's why those numbers are fairly low, and we try to primarily stay, do electrification without having to do a panel upgrade. These are just a few customer highlights. So this one is in Menlo Park, and the photo here right at the bottom right is from a tour that we actually did with Senator Becker in the summer of last year. So this is the customer right here on the right. So Senator Becker toured one of the home upgrade homes and also one home for our Harvest thermal pilot. So this is the quote directly from the customer. It's two parents, a young child and a grandparent that live in the home in Menlo Park. What the program provided for the electrification measure was a heat pump water heater. This one was actually an emergency replacement, meaning the gas water heater that the customer currently had was broken. And then we also provided some window mounted heat pumps to provide heating and cooling for the home, and some other minor upgrades that you see there at the bottom. And then a customer quote right here from Maribel on the right. And then another customer highlight from Los Banos. So we started serving customers in Los Banos as soon as we launched service in Los Banos. And this is, I think, by far the most popular program that we have in Los Banos that's able to serve customers. So this is a home with two parents and two school-aged children. And this program also provided, the program also provided to this family heat pump water heater to replace their gas water heater. In this case, it was also an emergency replacement. So we find that this happens a lot. And thankfully through our program, since it is sort of a hotline, but only available to certain residents, customers are able to call us or our program implementer and let them know of like the situation that they're in. And we can work with them to try to, install the water heater as fast as possible so they don't go without hot water. We also did some ceiling fans and some other minor home repairs. So that's why you can see one of the kids here standing by the fan. And then a quote from the homeowner. So a little bit about where the contract is at. The contract is set to expire at the end of 2023 of this year. However, we are currently oversubscribed, meaning all of our budget has been reserved for the installations. So like I mentioned, we will be doing between 180 and 190 homes. And most of those customers have been fully enrolled. There's only a handful that need to finalize enrollment. But we do have a list of customers that if the current budget can't support, so it is oversubscribed, we're not doing any outreach and we're not doing any like full enrollments. If customer inquire, we're still contacting them and doing pre-assessments. Our website continues to be up, but it just says that the program has a wait list right now. And overall, we feel like the performance, the RHA, our program implementer, has been good. So which is why we like to continue the program just for 1 year as we plan next steps. So to talk about specifically home upgrade next steps, so not, I guess, getting into the next slide. As I mentioned a little bit earlier, we are already starting to develop further concepts about a larger, like more integrated building electrification plan, focused on residential at first. So that's largely what we've been focusing on, what we discussed with the CAC. We think it's going to take us, through the year to further develop these plans. And what you see here at the bottom is sort of like the timeline that's driving us. Some of these federal and state incentives through different programs are likely to become available in 2024. And we want to make sure that we have a program in place that's, ready, launched, and capable of leveraging those funds as soon as possible, as soon as those funding becomes available. But given the fact that to develop a larger, more integrated building electrification program that includes both the low-income segment, but also everyone else, that will likely take us through the rest of the year. And the program is currently oversubscribed. There is a gap in the home upgrade program, and to be able to continue the momentum of the program, serve the customers in the wait list, and just take us through the next phase of building electrification programs, which we envision to be a more sort of integrated approach and integrated program. We're seeking approval of a contract amendment so that we can continue serving those customers and largely run the program as it is now, with a little bit of additions. So this is the contract amendment overview. So we are proposing to extend the contract with RHA through June 2024. Our goal would be to finalize most of the installations funded by the new budget by the end of 2023, because again, our vision is really to have more of like a unified building electrification program. So things aren't so segmented and there's like one line to call there, then another line to call there. We really envision sort of like our hotline and turnkey offerings for all residents to be under one sort of program umbrella to minimize customer confusement and just improve the experience. So with the home upgrade program as it stands now, or direct installations for low-income homes would come under a unified program in early 2024. So this is why the contract amendment would only be for about a year. With the contract amendment, we would serve about 100 homes, and we would do 4 to 6 homes with full electrification. So a little bit more on the next slide on that. The new proposed budget would be for 1.5 million for a year. So part of it would be this fiscal year, since our new fiscal year doesn't start until July, but through the end of next fiscal year. And you can see here on this table the budget allocations for that. So about 800,000 of it would be reserved for the direct installation costs. So that's equipment and also labor for the contractors doing this work. And then, about 390,000 would be for program implementation and administration. This is a very high touch program. There's a lot of customer touch points throughout the entire journey. There's in-person assessments at every home that gets enrolled. There's technical analysis that has to happen for every home. There's really customer support throughout the entire process. And also there's contractor management in both scheduling, helping with permits, all of that. So it is a high touch program. And then the thing that we would be adding in this year to prepare us for our building electrification V2 larger plan would be doing some whole home electrification activities. So again, that's the 4 to 6 homes with full electrification as opposed to just one measure. And also doing an assessment of 120 volt heat pump water heaters. So the contract would do 3 things. These are 2 of the 3. It would continue the program in its current form. Currently, the program offers 1 electrification upgrade per home. Again, a water heater, dryer, or induction stove largely. And we do some minor home repairs, which oftentimes are the things that customers care about the most and are really critical to them and not always necessarily energy related, but just home repairs, like if they need a grab bar, for example, of like their door lock is broken or something like that. Like we do those sort of repairs. On average, we spend like about $1,200, like $1,200 per home on home repairs. It can be more or less depending on the home. But yeah, it would be to continue the program as it is now. We would serve the wait list first. We have about 30 people that are, I guess, on the wait list that we have pre-assessed, but with the current budget, we can't serve currently. And then once we get through them, then we would continue to do a very limited and targeted outreach. This is not the sort of program that we have ever broadly promoted, and that would continue to be the case, just working with community-based organizations to reach target audiences. And we would also incorporate 120 volt heat pump water heaters. These are sort of newer technologies, but they can help lower installation costs. RHA actually has some direct experience installing these because they're involved in a statewide pilot of the 120 volt heat pump water heaters. So we aim to do 5 to 10 homes with these heat pump water heaters and do a little bit of assessments, like come up with some case studies, monitor the data, like utility bills and usage and all of that, and customer satisfaction. And then the last thing that the contract amendment would incorporate is doing a whole home electrification upgrades in a few homes. So 4 to 6 homes would be the goal. Recently, Peninsula Clean Energy posted design guidelines on our website to be able to fully electrify a home under 100 amps, and just strategies around how to minimize service panel upgrades, to be able to both reduce the costs and also, to reduce the amount of infrastructure upgrades that are needed. But we really want to put these design guidelines to work. I think that a more detailed assessment is needed, and also on the ground experience actually using them and implementing them. So we want to further develop those guidelines with this firsthand experience through the program. We would also develop customer collateral on benefits or full electrification, document processes and experience, including experiences working with permit agencies and what's required to fully electrify a home in the cities that we do them. And also just evaluate the results. We'd come up with a report or case studies on the cost, satisfaction, performance, bill impacts. And yeah, just overall, we want this to help us learn and inform the next phase of the program. So our building electrification V2 plan. So this is last slide, just to reiterate the request at hand. It is to do a 1-year contract amendment with RHA so that we can continue implementing the home upgrade program as a bridge to the next phase of building electrification programs. And that's it. Thank you for your time.
Okay, thank you, Alejandra. Comments or questions from members of the board? Donna.
Sorry, I'm asking so many questions tonight, but so Alejandra, thank you. I think you're doing a really good job given what you've got in terms of constraints, but scale is really critical to this program. I mean, doing, 100 houses or 50 houses when we have, 300,000 users in this county doesn't really seem to be, getting us where we need to go. So I just don't think we should have a wait list. If we have people who want to do this and are willing to do it, how do we clear the wait list? Is it money? Is it time? Is it resources? What do we need to clear that wait list?
Well, to clear the current wait list, we would need this contract amendment. I think part of the reason why we're only proposing this as a 1-year contract and only 100 homes is because, and this will be discussed in more detail at the March board meeting and also the executive committee meeting, but we do have proposals and plans for the next iteration of the home upgrade program. We just envision it to be, first of all, scaled up. So yes, serve more homes and also do more in each home. Right now we're only doing 1 appliance. We hope to be able to scale that up. So most low-income homes that we're serving through the program are really getting full electrification and also do more homes per year. And we also hope to be able to offer like direct install and like turnkey services to non-income qualifying residents, but with a share so that they would, pay their part. But because this would be like a large program that we believe would be better integrated under sort of one program umbrella, the budget for it would be fairly large. And we think that this, would require or would be better served as a competitive process to select the new implementer for this scaled up multi-year program. So again, we plan to bring more details on to the March meeting. But the reason, this is just a 1-year amendment for 100 homes is because our plan is, or hope is to be able to, run a competitive process to select an implementer for a larger scaled up program, which would continue the home upgrade program and do a lot more homes and do more in each home. But this is just sort of as a bridge so we can serve the wait list now and not have to wait until all of that is developed, which is likely to take a number of months, probably the rest of the year. If hopefully that helps.
Great. Thank you, Alejandra. Anders.
Thank you, Rick. Thank you for the detailed report. Just wanted to, a couple questions here. First of all, I didn't see the detail in terms of how many of these homes, a percentage of these contracts were being spent on helping lower income households. It would be nice to get some breakdown and some percentages on that. And also the second part of my question is, if you can go into a little bit more detail on your outreach program, how you reach out to the community and find out who needed these assistance, and what languages were used in terms of reaching out to our constituencies. I'm only saying it because we have a county where about 750,000 people, and 24% of us are Latinx and 33% of us are Asian. So from that context and DE&I, just wanted to see what sort of, what was our effort in terms of outreach and how we reach out to our constituency.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you for the questions, Director. To answer the first one first, all of these homes, the home upgrade program specifically for low-income residents or low-income homeowners, single-family homeowners. So all the customers that we've served through this program and we expect to serve between, through the current contract that we have, the 180 to 190 are homeowners that have an income of 80%, less than 80% of the average median income of the county. So all of them would be considered low income under that definition. So this program specifically for low income residents, that's why everything that we provide is free of cost to them. And then in terms of outreach, the program, that we signed, the initial program that we launched in late of 2021, the goal is to serve 200 homes. We knew that number was, it was a limited scope. Like, it's not the sort of program that we largely broadcast, very targeted in our outreach. So this program hasn't really been highlighted in things like our energy bulletin that goes out to all residents and things like that. And despite that, we've had like strong demand. So some of the ways that we've done outreach is largely through community partners. So to name that specifically contribute a lot to the outreach of the program is El Concilio of San Mateo County, and then also Climate Resilient Communities. Sorry, there are two nonprofits that work with low-income residents and help them, do home upgrades and also get connected to all these programs. So a lot of the leads that we get for the program are through them. And I believe Vanessa, after this agenda item, is going to speak about our outreach grantees. So we do have under our outreach team, we have a formal outreach grant process. And there's a number of organizations that every year we give grants to do outreach. And we encourage all of those to promote our program, especially those that are working with populations that would likely qualify for this program. So yeah, I would say like our community-based organizations like El Concilio, Climate Resilient Communities, and some of our other outreach grantees that you may learn more about in the next presentation are some of the main ways that we've gotten leads. That said, we have done very limited outreach campaigns, both via phone and email. Email first, and then we follow up as a call. And those have been very limited in that we've targeted care customers that are likely to be homeowners. And then it also included very comprehensive energy usage assessment to be able to sort of try to identify customers that are less likely to need panel upgrades, because that's one of the main barriers in the program is we aren't able to provide panel upgrades. So there's ways that with the energy usage, you can estimate what their likelihood of certain customers are for them to need a panel upgrade. So we targeted customers that are less likely to need a panel upgrade, that have high gas usage, that are care customers. So that's, the income qualified discount program that PG&E offers. And the income criteria for that is way below 80% AMI. And we did about, I think it was 2 or 3 really targeted emails and calls. So it was about 200 people at a time. So we have done some targeted outreach. And we do have, like RHA does have Spanish capabilities, and so do our other community-based organizations. Yeah, so hopefully that kind of answers it in terms of like what we've done so far, but we haven't promoted the program at large because of the scale that it is at.
And Alejandra, have we done that outreach in any language other than English and Spanish?
I'm happy to hop in, Alejandra, if that helps.
Yeah.
Sure, no problem. I'm Kirsten Andrews-Schwinn, Senior Manager of Community Relations, and will be and Director Fung, your question is very tease up the next agenda item well, which will be diving deeply into this. But in short, yes, the languages that our outreach partners are doing outreach for this program and other programs in our formally in English, Spanish, Mandarin, and Cantonese, then less formally in Samoan, Arabic, Urdu, Farsi, a number of other languages as well. And this year we'll be adding Tagalog.
Okay, great.
Thank you.
Thank you, Anders. Are there any other questions or comments from members of the board? Colleen?
Thank you, Chair DeGoya. Just one question, Alejandro, are we getting requests from a broad spectrum across the entire county? And I say this only in that this is a really important program. And I'm always thinking about the visibility and the community acceptance of PCE. You read all the surveys and you read the CAC survey and you still hear people don't know who PCE is. And I think one of our greatest benefits is the fact that we're not just offering power to people, but we reinvest. And so are we paying attention to whether we're covering the entire county and getting that visibility, because then people will talk to their neighbors. It's something that every city then can publicize. Look what happened in our community. Look what PCE has done. If it's all in the same geographic locations, we can't do that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'd say that the homes that are have been served by the program, so the 115 that have been completed, and also the 80 or so more that are to be served. When you look at sort of the distribution across our service territory, it is pretty spread out. So there's a lot of homes in South County, Middle County, and then North County. There's some on the coast as well. And then we also have really strong participation in Los Banos as well. So yes, they're pretty
and I
spread
would
out.
add just one other.
Go ahead,
One
sorry.
other factor to consider is there's a big initiative within the county about aging and addressing our seniors who are on fixed incomes. And I'm just wondering if anybody I see on the grant list, I don't want to jump ahead, the senior coastsiders, but that does not serve other areas of the county. So I would just ask that we be cognizant of the fact that there's a lot of people on fixed incomes, retired, who would really benefit from this, and find a way to outreach to them. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Colleen. Any other questions from members of the board? Okay, I'll take public comment. I have a comment from Diane's iPhone.
Good evening. This is Diane Bailey with Venlo Spark, speaking to you again, and thank you for the opportunity. I wanted to express my strong support for this program. I think this is extremely valuable to the community, as well as helping Peninsula Clean Energy meet its own electrification and climate goals. And so I hope you move forward this evening to approve this $1.5 million contract, extending an extremely successful program. We're hearing great feedback from community members who have participated. I think it's wonderful that a couple of adjustments are being added, including piloting the 120 volt heat pump water heater. That sounds so wonky, but this is a very important strategy to minimize the amount of electrical upgrades needed when we switch out gas water heaters to electric. These plug straight into a wall outlet, and so it can save homeowners and it can save this program a lot of money in avoided new electrical circuits and panel upgrades. And it's a good service to test it out for the rest of the county. I also appreciate the move to go to whole home upgrades. Very few heat pump HVAC systems have been installed through this program to date due to funding constraints. But this is a really important resilience component because a lot of the homes served by this program do not currently have air conditioners, and adding heat pump HVAC systems, those heat pumps, as you know, provide both heating and cooling from the same device. So that'll be a really important benefit to members as the program scales to become from partial to full home upgrades. We very much look forward to the larger program that Alejandro described, the BE version 2, that can serve serve the whole county, offering direct installation or turnkey services to any household, whether low income or not. This is going to situate PC really well to extend the service reach of the program as the federal IRA funds and state building decarbonization funds kick in over the next few years. So this is a really great timing, and I hope to see that program move forward next month. Thank you.
Thank you, Diane. Is there any other public comment? Okay, I don't see any other hand up. This is an action item, so we would need unless there's further comment, we would need a motion to approve the requested contract amendment with Richard Heath and Associates.
So moved.
Jeff Alf seconds.
Okay, thank you.
San Mateo County. San Mateo County. Atherton,
Yes.
Belmont,
Yes.
Brisbane,
Yes.
Burlingame,
Yes.
Colma, Daly City, East Palo Alto, East Palo Alto, Foster City, Half Moon Bay,
Yes.
Hillsborough,
Yes.
Los Banos, Menlo Park, Millbrae,
Aye.
Pacifica,
Yes.
Portola Valley,
Yes.
Redwood City,
Yes.
San Bruno,
Yes.
San Carlos, San Mateo,
Yes.
South San Francisco,
Yes.
and Woodside. The motion passes. Thank you.
Thank you very much, everybody. The next item on the agenda is an update for the Community Outreach Grant Program.
Great, thank you, Director DeGolia, our Chair DeGolia. Good evening, everybody. I'm Kirsten Andrew Schmidt, Senior Manager of Community Relations, and to continue on the conversation and to answer some of the questions, great questions that Directors Fung and Mackin raised, would like to present to you a deep dive into how we do community outreach with our community-based organization partners with Peninsula Clean Energy for the home upgrade program and a number of other programs and as well. Next slide. So we've been doing our community outreach grant program for going on 5 years now. We started in 2018. So Peninsula Clean Energy launched to most customers in 2017. And we started tracking our opt-outs religiously. And we identified a trend later that year that Latino customers were disproportionately opting out. And we're concerned by that. And so in order to better reach that population, we put out a RFP to community-based organizations to help us reach customers in English and Spanish and other languages, but also through trusted community partners. So they're not just hearing about Peninsula Clean Energy through us, but through organizations that they know. That first year, we gave grants to 5 community organizations to reach customers in English, Spanish, Mandarin, and Cantonese. And since then, our opt-out rates have stabilized and remained relatively low. It's hard to know exactly what caused that, but this is one of the efforts that we put in towards stabilizing our opt-out rate and maintaining a very high participation rate, is to ensure that our customers are hearing about us through these other partners in addition to ourselves, and also reaching out to difficult to reach populations that may not be that may be on the other side of the digital divide, as well as language barriers. Next slide. So today, we continue with the transparent RFP process. Any community-based organization in San Mateo County or that serves San Mateo County can apply. We've give grants up to $45,000 per grant or project to partner with Peninsula Clean Energy on outreach. I mean, these are still relatively modest grants. The idea is that it supplements the existing outreach that these community-based organizations are already doing, but can help them ramp up some of their efforts and add the Peninsula Clean Energy key messages to some of the outreach they're already doing. And in 2022, our outreach partners created an estimated 2 million interactions with our content. Next slide. And the outreach grant program is really the Swiss Army knife or the multi-tool of community relations. We can use this tool to meet so many of our organizations and our department's goals. We use it to increase brand awareness, just to communicate who Peninsula Clean Energy is in multiple languages and in multiple ways, in person, as well as through radio, workshops, tabling, flyers, and in food distributions, lots of creative ways. And we also use it to get the word out about ways that people can reduce their energy costs. And some of these aren't necessarily our offerings, but we help PG&E, for example, advertise its CARE program because we think it's important that our customers know about low-income utility discounts that can take 20% off of their gas bill and their electricity bill. And we definitely want our customers to take advantage of those state programs administered through PG&E and through others. We also use this grant program to get the word out about our own programs and to get, such as the home upgrade program that Alejandra just presented, as well as our used EV discount programs, our building electrification programs. And we really have a couple of different audiences here. One is, I mentioned, our customers who communicate primarily in languages other than English. Folks on the other side of the digital divide prefer in-person communication. But then we all have another target audience, which is early adopters of home electrification who might need a little extra, or people who are interested in being early adopters of home electrification who might need a little more information about how do you put in that heat pump water heater, or how do you take advantage of our 0% loan program. So we offer some additional information hand holding for that customer segment as well. And so our mix of our reach partners really reflect those multiple audiences and those multiple goals. Next slide. And I'd like to pass this, the rest of this presentation off to my colleague, Vanessa, and give her a huge kudos for managing this program so adroitly. And go ahead, Vanessa.
Great. Thank you so much, Kristen, for those kind words. And yeah, hi, everyone. My name is Vanessa Shin. I'm the Community Outreach Specialist at Peninsula Clean Energy. I have been working with 3 cohorts of outreach grants so far since I started. And I'll say that working with these community partners is one of my favorite parts of my work here at Peninsula Clean Energy. So I'm so excited to be able to share this with you all. So first, I'd like to dive a little bit deeper into that 2 million figure that Kristen mentioned on a previous slide. And so to reiterate, we estimate that our grantees facilitated around 2.3 million interactions with our content. And so, as you can see on the slide, we broke that down into the different types of activities that our grantees engage in. For example, handing out flyers at in-person events, having one-on-one conversations while tabling, or while hosting a workshop. You'll see that digital engagement makes up the bulk of these interactions, just with the ability to get information and disperse it widely. So many grantees promote us on social media or run online ads on our behalf. And then we also work with grantees to promote our messages on radio through advertisements as well as interviews on many local stations, including in English, in Spanish, and Chinese. And so to say a little bit more about the grant program overall, here's some data from the past 2 years. Last year, I had the amazing privilege to work with 11 organizations across 12 grants with a total funding of $310,000. And then this year, we're working with many of the same organizations, but also some new faces with a total of 14 grants and a funding across at $415,000. And so before I dive into some of these work plans specifically, so you can get a better idea of the work that these grantees do and how we partner with them, I wanted to provide an overview list of all of the organizations we have worked with in either 2022 or 2023. So you can see them listed here, as well as in the agenda packet. And I'd also like to direct your attention to this part of the slide here, in which we try to communicate both the breadth and the depth of our geographical reach through these outreach partners. And so one thing that we do when we are evaluating proposals, which has become very competitive, is to make sure that we are distributing our grantees equitably and that we can cover as many areas of our service area and communities as possible. And so in addition to some of the goals that Kirsten mentioned in terms of raising awareness, increasing access to energy discounts, as well as supporting building decarbonization, we're also really excited to work with our grantees to meet new commitments in this upcoming year. And so an example of that is that we are partnering with many organizations to develop community workshops in order to help inform and provide input on what the vision of climate action could look like here in San Mateo County. We also see outreach grants as a really important vehicle to addressing many of our diversity, equity, accessibility, and inclusion goals, as well as our commitment to energy equity. So an example of that is that we will be partnering with many organizations this year for the first time to develop focus groups, and really with the intention of better understanding our customers' needs and seeing how we can better address those challenges through our programs and marketing. So really being able to get good community feedback and engagement. And so now I will illustrate and highlight just a few of our grants so you can get a sense of these amazing community partners and how we collaborate with them. And so for the first organization, I'd like to highlight Climate Resilient Communities. They have a very strong reach in the communities of East Palo Alto, Bellhaven, and North Fair Oaks. They are also very active in supporting enrollment in our home upgrade program, as well as navigating and working with residents in navigating that process. And so one of the really awesome highlights of this organization is that they have very deep connections with their community. And as a result, they're able to plan really awesome community events and workshops. And so this photo here is of Kristen giving a presentation to residents in East Palo Alto in Spanish. And so we will continue to work with them to both get information out about Peninsula Clean Energy, but to work with them to facilitate these spaces where we can have a really rich dialogue and get community feedback. We're also very thrilled to be working with our first outreach partner in Los Banos called Cultiva La Salud. And so we are really excited to work with them as they will help strengthen our outreach, particularly in Spanish, and really supplement the amazing work that our local outreach rep, Sandra Benetti, is doing in that community. And so we have already started training their outreach workers and are really looking forward to this partnership. The next organization that is also new to us is Health Ways. This is an organization that is based in Daly City and that serves the Northern County. We're really excited to work with them because we feel that they filled a gap in our outreach that we had previously, in that they're now providing program support and in-person enrollment support in the Northern County. And they're also doing that in Tagalog, so we can better reach this community. The next organization I'd like to highlight is Actera, and specifically on their outreach grant focus on electric vehicle education. And so if you're not familiar, Actera hosts these wonderful EV financial incentives clinics. And this year they're able to do that in 3 languages, English, Spanish, and Mandarin Chinese. And so through these workshops, they provide a lot of deep education while still being accessible and highlighting not only the logistics of electric vehicles, but also helping our customers access the incentives and rebates, including our own Use EV rebate. And so in addition to these workshops, they also provide one-on-one consultations in multiple languages so that they can provide this extra hand-holding service to our customers if they need it. And then finally, we are now also working with 350 Silicon Valley. This organization is very well positioned to reach the deep green early adopter audience that we mentioned earlier. So they'll be able to provide information and public education around building electrification and decarbonization to audiences that are motivated and interested, but who might have questions or challenges. And so this is a really great partner for addressing that audience and ensuring that they're supported through their switch to electrification. And so with that, I'd like to thank you all so much for your time and your support. And we are very happy to take any questions and hear any of your ideas and thoughts on how we can continue working with these great community partners.
Great. Thank you, Vanessa and Kirsten. Questions from members of the board or comments from members of the board? I just want to say, I think we have a lot of programs at PCE, and as board members, we don't always hear about them. So it's really good to get a comprehensive summary and review. And I think this presentation on our grant partners where we're doing the community outreach is really important. So I really appreciate this presentation. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Chair DeGolia.
Okay, I don't see anyone with their hand up. If someone has a question, please raise your hand. And in the meantime, I will take any public comment that may exist. If someone has a public comment, please click the reactions button on the bottom of your screen and you can raise your hand. Leslie.
Hi, I was just wondering, those in-person and virtual presentations look amazing. And I was wondering if you recorded them to provide access for people who maybe couldn't make it that day, like on the electric vehicle information, et cetera.
Yeah, so many of the partnerships that we have involve guest presentations, and many of those are still being held virtually. And so, yes, the ones that are held virtually are recorded and are distributed, the recordings. So I'm happy to, yeah, Actera, Sustainable San Mateo County, Thrive Alliance are just some of the organizations that host events pretty regularly and record them.
Great, thank you so much.
Thank you. Anders.
Thank you, Chair. Just a couple quick questions there. Thank you for the presentation. So the first thing is the acceptance of these community-based organizations, partners, are they year-round or do they have a deadline? How do they apply? And that's the first question. The second part is that have we worked with any of the medias on getting the word out about the programs that we have available to our community, especially ethnic medias as well? Because I know that there are a lot of resources there where the media could be really helpful in getting the word out. For example, the e-bike, the electrification of your homes. Some of the things that we've been doing, assuming that we are able to bring about some of those resources among many different directors here. I think that would be very, very helpful to getting the word out.
What a great question, Dr. Fung, and we're happy to brainstorm additional media we can be working with you. But I'll give you an overview of what we've done. So actually, a couple of our outreach grantees also are media organizations who happen to be nonprofits and are eligible to apply for this grant. One of the grant criteria is you have to be a 501c3 nonprofit. It just so happens that Sound of Hope Radio, they transmit in both, they have one radio station in Cantonese and one radio station transmits in Mandarin. They have, and they also do place digital ads for us in traditional Chinese. And they have incredible reach in our service territory. We know this because sometimes up to a third of the web traffic to our program pages will come through our Chinese site, or the Chinese language option on our website. And they're pretty much the only way that those customers might have learned about that site. And so they drive immense traffic to our website. So we know people are listening to their stations and seeing their ads, which they're also placing on other Chinese language media sites. So they are, they have their own media, but then they're placing digital ads on other Chinese language media websites. Let's see, in terms of Spanish, one of our former outreach grantees, Casa Circo Cultural, they also have their own radio, Spanish language radio station, and they and El Concilio also placed ads or do interviews with some Spanish language radio in the area. They actually had me as a guest presenter on an interview. So we do some work through our outreach grantees in both Chinese and Spanish radio. We have in the past worked with a Tagalog radio station out of Daly City as well. And look forward to working with Healthways on our new outreach grantee, focusing on the Filipino population in North County, and thinking about ways that we can renew some of those relationships as well. That said, we can do more, and we're happy to brainstorm with with you and our other directors what you think would be appropriate media for us to be engaged with. But also, I do believe on our press list where we send our press releases, we have some ethnic media on our press release list as well.
I'm also happy to answer Dr. Fung's first question about I think you're asking about the application cycle and what that looks like. And so this program is an annual grant program that's facilitated throughout the calendar year. And so we just started our new round of outreach grantees this year. But every year in the fall, we open up the call for applications. Again, one of the requirements is that the organization is a nonprofit 501c3 nonprofit and serves communities in Los Banos or the San Mateo County. And so we receive proposals from organizations, and then we review them. And in many cases, even if we're unable to fully fund their proposal, we'll work with the organization to develop priorities and find the best fit for both Peninsula Clean Energy and that organization's interests. Did that answer your question, or do you have any other questions?
That's excellent. And if you can speak to a little bit about our social media effort, if any.
Sure. Are you asking about the work that our community outreach grants do on social media specifically?
Correct. Yeah. How do we outreach our community partners and social media? Any of those organizations use social media to outreach to our community members?
Yeah, I would say pretty much all of these organizations are active on social media. Most of them are on Facebook, some on Twitter, many on Instagram. And so what we do to streamline it and make it easy for them to share our information is we develop these media toolkits that have graphics as well as sample captions, and we show them how to use it. many of our media kits are also translated in English, Spanish, and traditional Chinese. And so we provide all of these resources to our grantees in a centralized spot online. And so it's easy for them to post and share these graphics on our behalf.
Thank you so much.
Okay, great. Any other comments or questions from members of the board? And I didn't see any public comment, so we will close this item. And the last item on the agenda is board member reports. Does anyone have a report that they'd like to give to the board? Okay, well, thank you, everybody. As you know, next month we'll be in person. And we'll be talking about exactly how we structure that at the executive committee meeting. We look forward to seeing all of you in person next month, and we will be in touch between now and then. Take care.
Thank you.
Good night, everyone. Thank you.
Thank you.